Okay, perfect. We are live here with the second segment of Quantum Leap. And as I mentioned earlier, pardon me, Corey Knott is out on a medical leave temporarily. So last I checked, he was doing fine, but I will check in with him later. But he's not going to be joining us today. And but I do have a great guest today, Jake Ralston, who is really a member of my mastermind community and our community group, and just a great person to know as we're going to get into some of the things that he knows. In lieu of my kind of business check-in, I just wanted to give a brief little snippet on another book recommendation that I thought was timely with Jake, and that's this Tony Robbins book. Not that Jake's a big Tony Robbins fan. He probably knows of him, but it's called Awaken the Giant Within. I think this book is in large part, help put Tony Robbins on the map. And he utilizes a lot of these NLP techniques. And I've really, in a lot of fields that I study, I always like to get back to how did this stuff originate? Because it's so powerful. And, in some of the recent research I've done, I've really found that this kind of research and the using of this thought and the patterns of the mind is kind of a relatively new thing. I know it started in the 70s, and I might pose that to a bonus question, because I'd love to get your input on that, Jake, because you did give me some of this history. But really, this is powerful stuff, and it's only until relatively recently that some of these pioneers have really started using it for the broader population. And with that, if you don't mind introducing yourself, Jake, and if you could just tell us a little bit about that history of what you do and how you came about some of these powerful ideas that we're going to talk about today.
Sure. Thanks for having me on here today, David. I really appreciate this opportunity to with you and spread the message of NLP and hypnosis a little bit. So first, I'll give you like my background and how I got here to be this big talking head on the screen in hypnosis. I have a background in the blue collar world. Actually, I'm a generation Harley Davidson mechanic. Besides father's footsteps, when I was 18, he suggested, well, maybe I was a little older. I think I was about 20 actually. He suggested I go to the technical school that he went to, and I did that and graduated, and I actually worked side by side with him at the dealership for a while when I got out of school. And when I worked at that dealership, it was an amazing opportunity for me because I kind of had some friendship with some of the people that worked there already through my father. And my father, after working with him for a few months, actually got his full diagnosis of PTSD and depression from the VA through his time in Vietnam. And so he actually kind of retired from motorcycles, and I kind of took the family name on in that direction for a while. And so I knew kind of his group of friends and his people, and I had a pretty good attitude growing up in general, and not the same grumpiness of the old grumpy Vietnam vet that's, fallen off their motorcycle several times, and so I kind of had like just a different mentality than most of the employees at the business anyway. And we had a opportunity to work with a hypnotherapist as a group. And what he did was put on group meetings for us and made a safe environment for us to be able to air our grievances and work out our issues, and even really tell the boss off if we needed to. And, he kind of needed some telling off in some areas. So it was really, we could do that without getting fired as well. So it was really neat to be able to kind of see this happen, see this bunch of grumpy old bikers kind of turn into a team and have some success just doing the everyday stuff. So when trouble came up or some adversity came through, we were able to handle it without turning on each other. And it was kind of amazing for me to see as a young person, watch this evolve and turn into this. And so years later, I had an opportunity to take a class from this hypnotherapist that worked with us. And when he worked with us, he didn't do hypnosis. He just kind of held this space for us and made sure that the things that we talked about were framed in a resourceful way to be able to have linear movement to closure or to success or to whatever, communication, whatever. And that really stood out to me, like I said. So several years later, I changed careers and I got into a sales position, and I didn't know I was getting a sales job. And so I remembered what our salesman at the dealership, how his sales numbers went up after working with this therapist, with this hypnotist that came to work with us. And so I went and I ended up having some sessions with that hypnotherapist. His name is Dr. Gary, and he ended up becoming my mentor. And after a few sessions with Dr. Gary, I actually won a ticket to go see Tony Robbins. And so it was very apropos you bringing that up today. I went and did the whole weekend emotional rock concert that is, Tony Roberts event, and did the fire walk. It was amazing. It was fun.
That's
And
great.
yeah, I came back and I was all jacked up, and I'm like, all right, Dr. Gary, what's next? He's like, well, you might be interested in my NLP class. And I'm like, NLP, what's that? And he's like, well, NLP, it's the study of how our language affects our behavior, how our behavior is affected by our language, and how we communicate intrapersonally and interpersonally. And I'm like, huh, what's that? Right. So I took the class. I was kind of late arrival, so I didn't even get the history and the background of what I was actually learning, or how come it would be relevant to the sales job I was taking, or what. And I was just fascinated. As soon as I took this class, I was kind of shoved into the middle of these processes and some of the really basics of NLP, and I was seeing people have amazing change. We worked on phobia cures my very first weekend, and I really remember that stood out in my mind. And I was seeing people that had like phobias of simple things like a kitchen knife. And I did the process with this person, and I just basically reading off a worksheet. Like I said, I didn't really know what I was doing or really have the concept of it. And after we finished, she had a phobia of kitchen knives before. She always thought she was going to cut herself or hurt herself in some way. And I asked her, well, what do you think, when we were done with our process? And she looked at me and didn't say anything. And she stood up and she walked over to the kitchenette and pulled out a kitchen knife out of the drawer and looked at it, and really was like, this is different. And I could see on her face, there was no fear. It was just more curiosity. And it was really amazing to see that transformation. And so I kind of started to grasp the concept of what we were doing and learning. And I realized that this is really powerful stuff beyond sales. And I really started to think about my father, who I mentioned earlier was a Vietnam vet. And because of his experiences, he suffered through a lot of nightmares. Was one of the things that he had issues with, nightmares and poor sleeping. And so, again, not knowing what I was doing, just from the practice rounds in the class, I sat down with my dad and we did 3 basic NLP processes: visualization techniques, anchoring processes. We can talk about what that means later. And within an hour's time, we had finished these processes, and he had a tremendous change. His nightmares went down from 6-7 times a week down to 2 or 3 times a month, and they weren't as bad when he was having them. And that really was amazing for me to see that happen, and to really feel the comfort level in him change. Right, just being able to sleep better is enough to make anybody have a better day, right? But sleeping better and not having horrific nightmares, it was really amazing to see a difference in him. And so that fed my energy to go back and learn more and more NLP, finish the class after about a 9-month, every other weekend process of taking the class. I just kind of felt like I was getting it. And so I ended up taking it again and taking it again. So just every time Dr. Gary would put a class out, I would take it and just kind of audit the class and help out the new NLP practitioners to be, and help with the study groups. And eventually Dr. Gary let me kind of take over the torch, and I became the full-time teacher and trainer for that class. And since I've had my own classes. And one of my students eventually said, well, after this, I'm going to go take hypnotherapy training. And it was like, bong, the light bulb went off. I realized that more people understand what hypnotherapy is or hypnosis is than NLP, and I could reach more people and help more people that way. And so I did that about 6 years ago. I took the hypnotherapy training course and started seeing clients right away and opened my doors for business. And I've been doing this ever since, helping people in all kinds of amazing ways through all kinds of different adversity. I thought I'd be doing a lot of, helping people stop smoking and helping people lose weight. And I do that stuff, but that's not my primary clientele. I help with a lot of anxiety, a lot of sleeping issues. I help people, especially athletes, with their performance enhancements. And a lot of people, especially fine-tuned performers, high performers, know exactly those areas they'd like to enhance. And so that's why I love working with athletes and business professionals, because they all know where they're at, and they all know where they'd like to be. And sometimes just a little boost from the internal subconscious to kind of get rewired in the direction they want to go is all they need. So that's what I do, and that's kind of how I got here. And I really think that my background as a Harley mechanic really prepared me to work with people and kind of solve issues. And I don't want to say problems, because we're all doing the best we can in any given moment based on what we're going through. And we all have areas that we'd like to see improve or like to change. So, in a generality, we can use the word problem, but I don't really foresee these things as problems, even though some people are going through some hard times when we work together. But with applying the kind of problem solving that I learned as a mechanic, it kind of boils down to, where are we now? Where do we want to go? And what tools and resources and information does the person have to pull from the inside to be able to get there easily and quickly? And a lot of my clients tell me that they're surprised at how short the bridge is to where they wanted to be. Some of these people I see have had these issues a big part of their life. So they think that it's going to take a big part of their life to make them go away or to change them. But these things can be changed in an instant, because once we kind of find a new path of least resistance for our mind goes, well, that's much better than what I've been doing. And it takes over that direction for us. And we all have that in us to be able to kind of have that new pathway. It's just a matter of finding it and using it at the right time.
Great. Well, there's a lot of angles here that you kind of open up, and you've taught me so much about some of these things, and I've only really felt like I've scratched the surface. That was great to hear about your Tony Robbins story. I know he is a little sensationalized with the walking on coals, but it does, I think back to my own journey, and sometimes those early weekend retreats I did, for example, something called Landmark, those can kind of set you on the path to helping you find other things, so
Get the ball rolling.
yeah, nothing like walking on hot coals that'll
Yeah.
wake you up.
One thing I want to say about that too is just the process of following instructions and that belief that, okay, I'm going to follow this process and I'm going to go through something that, many might perceive as traumatic, but I know and I trust in the steps and the preparation. And I know that I can get to the other side unscathed. I still might feel the heat, but I'm better off for have done it, for have doing it, and it's just amazing to really come through the other side of that, so to speak, and really take that momentum off into the real world. And that's kind of what I help most of my clients do, is find that they're at the start of their coal walk, and we just kind of help prepare them and give them the steps to take to really, maybe, like I said, maybe even feel some of that heat, but get through the other side and be okay and be better off for it.
Yeah, no, and you've definitely done that for me and a number of our colleagues. It's amazing. Like you mentioned, that bridge is a lot shorter. A lot of people, it's just finding the bridge that's a big barrier, that awareness. And you have all these tools that you can use. And I do think, Tony Robbins wouldn't be Tony Robbins with some of these ideas that you teach if you take another look at that book, or it's all NLP, I think, and it's, Tony's brilliant, but how he was able to kind of take this kind of academic stuff from the people who taught your mentors and put it into real world action. That's what I admire about you and, somebody like Tony, because it's kind of rare out there that this stuff is used kind of in the popular mainstream.
Right. One of the things I really like about hypnosis and NLP is that there's very little new technology as it is. right? Because hypnosis is a natural, normal human phenomenon that all humans go through several times a day, whether they realize it or not, in several ways, whether it's highway hypnosis, they're just driving down the road, spacing out, or it's what an athlete would call being in the zone. Those are two examples right there. But we're also in hypnosis right before we fall asleep and right before we wake up in the morning. So right there, that's a natural human phenomenon that happens. So we're just leveraging that to help a person get what they want. And when it comes to NLP and language patterns and hypnotic language patterns, again, there's nothing new. The mind responds to words certain ways. So when you learn the code, just like you'd open a computer manual, if you're going to do some coding to write a program for a computer, you can pick up an NLP manual and kind of write a new code for what experience a person wants to have, or I want to have. I always say go first with this stuff. So my job's really easy in a way because I don't have to come up with the answers for somebody. I have to help them pull the right answers from inside of them. I have to help them pull the right resources from inside. And I'm pretty familiar with the language of coding. And so, again, like I said, there's nothing new here, but like a person like Tony Robbins takes that information and makes it a little more available for people. It's amazing how many people he's been able to reach throughout the years. I mean, I really literally remember being maybe 12 years old in the summertime, watching Saturday Night Live on the weekend and seeing afterwards the Tony Robbins infomercials on there, and Tony Robbins changed my life, and I didn't know, I didn't get it, okay, whatever, cool, haha, it's funny, late night infomercial. But all these years later, he's still doing it and it's effective. And it's just amazing how many people he's must have helped with this stuff. And so anybody that can really share this and get some of this message out and help people find that new path of least resistance, help them change their story. So many people have a story that they are bad, broken, wrong, or stupid, and they're not. They're doing the best they can, based on everything they've gone through. So I want to help them rewrite that story so they're at least coming from a place of a baseline of, hey, I'm a human being and I got this, and today's a new day, and I'm going to have the experience that I choose, I'm in charge of, and I'm going to be curious about ways to find that. Our brain knows how to tune in on stuff, right? If you've ever gone and bought a car before and you're like, oh, I'm going to buy a Volkswagen Rabbit, and all of a sudden you're seeing Volkswagen Rabbits all around town, it's like your brain tunes in on that stuff. So what we think about, we bring about, and it works the same way with the stuff that we say to ourselves that isn't resourceful. So if a person says, oh, I suck, I'm a terrible person, I'm bad all the time, it goes out of the mouth and into the ears and they become right. Their mind finds ways to make them right. But if we go, hey, today's a new day and I'm a clean slate and I can have an amazing day if I choose, I'm going to go out there and find ways to have an amazing day. It's going to go out of their mouth and into their ears, and their brain's going to go as you wish, and it's going to find that path of least resistance to that. And again, we might still feel the heat from some of these things that are going on in our life. Life is always life. Things are always going on. They're always going to be there. If a smoker quits smoking, every store in the world sells cigarettes. So what are they going to do to make that choice to be a different person today? And I help with that. I help them find that path of least resistance on a subconscious level.
Great. And I think we're going to skip the demo today, just in the interest of time. I can put the link to the demo unless you want to do a demo for 5 minutes. I'm fine.
You know what? I got a perfect demo for the short amount of time we have today.
Okay.
And this demo, speaking of kind of resetting your new path of least resistance, if a person kind of goes and gets into their day and they find that they're a little stressed or have a little bell curve or something going on, and if they could just reset the batteries, kind of just recharge themselves, they could kind of take on more of the stuff from a more calm plane. So one way that I show people to do that is what I call the 3-2-1 reset. So it's really easy to remember. 3-2-1 reset. It's I'll go through it really fast, but then I'll explain it. It's 3 breaths, 2 hands to give yourself a self hug, and 1 minute of mindfulness. So the technology behind that is, of course, the breath. The breath is the pulse of the brain. So if we can slow down and focus on 3 breaths, we're going to have just right there, that's going to be enough to start the process of calming down. In any situation when anybody's upset, what do they always tell people? Oh, breathe, take a moment to breathe, right? So it works. We've been breathing since the first day of life. We'll be breathing till our last day of life. How often do we just take a moment to really just be with our breath, right? So 3 breaths, and they don't have to be, super fancy yoga breaths, just full belly breaths. All right. So that's the first step. And already you're going to start to become aware of that calming feeling from the 3 breaths. And then you take your 2 hands, and one on one shoulder, and wrap one around the other arm and on the other shoulder, and just give yourself a hug. And that begins to release those endorphins and oxytocin in the brain, and kind of really sets that serenity and security, right? So by doing that, take the 3 breaths and the 2 hand self hug, you're already really changing things in your brain. You're changing the chemical reactions in your brain, right? And then to top it all off, icing on the cake, the number 1 minute of mindfulness. And really, some people, know what that is. Other people, for those of you that aren't aware of that, it's just a moment of being with your senses, your 5 senses, mostly your visual, auditory, kinesthetic channels. And really a good way to do that is, since you're breathing already, is just follow the breath. Really follow the breath as you breathe. Feel it go all the way down to the bottom of the lungs. Feel it turn around and become an exhale. Notice what that breath feels like. The temperature changes as it goes each way. Notice as you breathe, even the sound changes, so you can tune in on the sound. That's right. And just with your eyes, just notice how your body moves in rhythm with your breath. And just doing that right there, being mindful for 1 minute, giving yourself a self hug and 3 breaths, is a really great way to reset yourself, to kind of recharge the batteries, to fill your tank back up. When you're done with your 1 minute of mindfulness, you can even set yourself an alarm, or just tell yourself you're just going to do it for 1 minute, and it'll be about a minute. Just give yourself a little sentence, 1 sentence about what you want to happen the rest of the day. Hey, I'm going to have a great day the rest of the day. Or I can handle this. Or I'll get through this. Or this is going to be easy. Right? And tell yourself what you want in the form of what you want, rather than what you don't want. So instead of, say those things that I said, instead of, oh, I don't want to be upset anymore, right? Say what you want. I want to be calm the rest of the day. I want to have a good time with work for the rest of the day, whatever it is. So there it is, the 3, 2, 1 reset. Take 3 breaths, self hug, 1 minute of mindfulness, and you'll be on your way to a great rest of your day.
I love that calm and peace that you help bring every time I do one of these exercises that you do. It totally switches my feeling and kind of my outlook going forward. And even if it seems like a little thing, it makes a big difference if you just do it, the feeling that you get from something like that. So great work. That was even a perfect anecdote. And I hadn't actually seen that one before as well. So I did want to get to your ideal client, and we'll kind of end with a bonus question about your dream client, who I know we want to reach out there. So if you don't mind telling us who you are looking for out there in terms of clients or people to work with on NLP or hypnotherapy, or kind of just your pitch to reach your ideal person out there.
Yeah, my ideal client that I would work with the best is, like I said, business professionals and athletic professionals and semi-professionals, people that are high performers in what they do and know what they want and know their next step, know the things that are maybe holding them back, keeping them from having what they want, and are ready to break through that, or just haven't been able to get there yet. So my ideal client really are those people that are high performers that are ready to take their game to the next level, be it in the business world or in the athletic arena, so to speak. And for my dream client, I would love to be the team hypnotherapist for the Golden State Warriors. That's right. I know that there's many applications for hypnosis in the arena of sports, and especially in a team. And if, let's just say, they were to hand me the keys to the castle and go, "Here you go, Jake. You're now the team hypnotherapist. Do whatever you want with our players. It's cool. I've got a plan. I know what I could do to really make a change and help things really just be really nailed down and help bring that trophy back to the Bay Area. I want a championship ring. This is the ring I got. This is I've got my eye on you ring, but I'm ready for a championship ring." And I know that the things that I can do can really help the Warriors get there quickly and easily. And I mean, just for instance, imagine if there was another Splash Brother. Right? I could help with that, right? So, that's just a little tidbit, but that's what I'm looking for. I want to, like I said, help bring that trophy back to the Bay Area, and they're well on their way already. And I can really just kind of help them improve even more. There's always room for improvement.
Yeah, I love it. And I think some of these mental techniques, you really have to do them to see the utility and value. I actually think even like the Oakland A's with somebody a pitcher or a batter who's kind of in a slump, to help them kind of get through some of those barriers, I think could be
Sure.
very valuable. And in this internet age, maybe it's not the Warriors that reach out, maybe it's the LA Lakers. They need a bit more help down there right now. I'm sure they'll turn it around, but
Yeah. Well, you mentioned a perfect example, like somebody in a slump, like a pitcher or a hitter. How about free throws? Threes and frees, I can really help with, right? Accuracy. If somebody's shooting at 60% and all of a sudden is now shooting at 75%, what's that going to mean at the end of the game for the score, right? Or if somebody's the same stats, 60% on their three threes attempts, 3-pointer attempts, and all of a sudden now they're at 75%, that's going to make a big difference, right? In any one player. So these are kinds of things that I can help enhance. And just like any of this work that I do, it only takes one thing to get the ripple effect going, so to speak. That little pebble in the pond really changes things on down the line. So it's really amazing how one little improvement really brings the numbers up.
great. And I know Carmelo Anthony really lit it up the other night. He might be using some of this stuff. So I think if you look at the stronger players in the league, they do have that mental game. It really starts with the mental game, like LeBron and Westbrook. And, maybe they haven't been trained on some of this stuff in particular. Maybe they have, but really, you don't know the difference it'll make until you start using it, especially if you get in maybe an injury, or maybe you start playing a different position, or maybe you move up, you get drafted right out of college, you go from college being a star to being on a NBA lineup, which is totally different. So
Yeah. And, two things about that you just mentioned too is that the first thing is injuries. Right. Also, another area of hypnosis is the mind-body connection. We can actually improve the rate at which a person recovers from an injury. So instead of somebody being off the court for 6 weeks, all of a sudden they're only off the court for 5 weeks or 4 weeks, and that is huge for teams to be able to kind of again have their whole crew when they need them.
yeah, well put. I did want to mention I'm actually a Kings fan because I grew up in Sacramento. That I do like the Warriors now, so I actually support all the 3 California basketball teams. There might be more, but of course the Warriors are the closest to our hearts here in the Bay. But
Yeah, for
I
sure.
love to see you. Love to see Kerr reach out, or maybe Curry give you a call to see what you can do for them.
Yeah,
And
I mean, they can even send me down to Santa Cruz if they want. I'll start in the B League.
sounds good. Well, thanks for coming on to share all these great insights. And there's just so much to talk about on these issues. I loved how we approached it today, and we'll look forward to having you back soon when my co-host Corey's back too. He also went through the training with you and highly recommended it. So keep in touch, and I'll be seeing you in the morning.
All right. Thank you, David.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.